Tonight, a story every parent should see. There's a new exhibit called Hidden in Plain Sight.
It allows parents an opportunity to peer into the life of a teen to help discover items that could be used to disguise drug or alcohol use or other risky behaviors.
Eyewitness News anchor Danielle North joins us now with an eye-opening report you'll see only on Eyewitness News.
If your teenager was using drugs, would you know? Well, through a groundbreaking new program, parents now have a very unique chance to look at a mock teenage bedroom full of dozens of common household items that could be used to hide drugs right in plain sight. Stage inside of a classroom at North Kingstown High School is what looks like a typical teen's bedroom.
We encourage the parents to pick things up, look inside, investigate.
And upon deeper investigation, parents will find 50 common household items and common places that could be used to disguise drug, alcohol, tobacco use, and more.
We guide them through, especially with the items that they're not familiar with, such as the vaping mechanisms, the oil concentrates. Those are all things that parents really aren't educated on.
But it is perhaps the most mundane items that will shock parents the most.
So the lip balm, also known as beezing, they will take this out and replace it with marijuana concentrate oil. The way that you can tell is it's much darker in color. It's almost like a mustard color. They're just applying it to the lips and absorbing the marijuana concentrate oil. The deodorant, you can cut the top off of it and the rest of the cylinder can be used again. Pills, weed, money, it's also another hiding spot. The Red Bull container, the lid actually turns right off. It's a great hiding spot to hide anything. We actually had that donated by a former heroin addict.
Another thing to keep an eye out for, unusual lingo that teens sometimes use to communicate risky behavior.
710, if you flip it upside down, it says oil. So that type of lingo, parents really aren't in tune with that.
It's definitely changed from when I was in high school. They seem to have access to a lot more product that's a lot more undetectable.
After the interactive seminar ends, these professionals in the substance abuse field encourage parents to speak to their kids, to educate them, and even more importantly, to ask questions.
The first thing we tell parents when they come in the room is we certainly don't want anyone to go home and ransack anyone's room.
Right.
This is an opportunity to open up discussion, to talk to your kids. We always say, talk early, talk often, and listen.
We can't be that blinded that we think it's never ours. The more educated we can be about all of it's going to be helpful.
This Hidden in Plain Sight program is about a year old now, and training has been held at about 10 different schools. Organizers are hoping to implement this important program at more open houses and school events in southern New England during the coming year. I'm Danielle North, Eyewitness News.
Earlier tonight, we showed you a groundbreaking program to help parents uncover signs of drug abuse by finding drugs hidden in plain sight.
But for some southern New England parents, their child's addiction is right there in front of them, front and center, affecting every family member. Eyewitness
News anchor Danielle North sat down with a Portsmouth mother on a personal crusade for better treatment and programs in memory of her son.
Carol Wilcox spent so many years helping her son Kevin cope with his mental health challenges and eventually his terrifying addiction to heroin. She was only one room away in their home when he lost his battle on Christmas Eve.
I was in bed texting his recovery coach. I knew that he had relapsed. I needed some support because he either needed to find someplace different to live or he needed to get into a rehab again.
It was too late. Kevin James Medeiros died at home, the victim of an accidental overdose. But in some ways, Carol had lost her son long before that.
What I had thought of time and time again actually happened.
Kevin spent much of his young life battling mental health challenges, mood disorders, anxiety, and depression. Kevin was gay, and his mother says she was so proud he came out at an early age. But to battle his inner demons, Carol says Kevin turned to drugs.
Started with pot. That was mostly high school.
But eventually, he became addicted to heroin. After a year in rehab in California, Kevin returned home and relapsed. His first overdose was his last.
And that feels extremely unfair to me. He never got that second chance.
As the year anniversary of his death draws near, Carol, her husband, and her 2 daughters are still struggling with their grief.
It has brought us closer. The madness of addiction, that really tends to tear a family apart, and I'm really glad that we survived that.
Carol's also channeling her grief into a personal crusade by being part of a group of local parents who meet once a month to help other families handle the challenges of addiction.
We are in a crisis. We need to change the way we're doing things. Rehabs need to be funded. Anything that we can do to make parents aware. People whose kids are doing heroin, why are all my spoons missing?
Really, yeah.
For me, it was tinfoil.
Now, almost a year after his untimely death, Carol says she feels some solace that her son, whose life was fraught with troubles and challenges, is at peace.
I will never be ashamed of my son, or his addiction, his mental health. He was a strong person to deal with that.
Carol is also a proponent of a new exhibit that we told you about on Eyewitness News at 5. It's called Hidden in Plain Sight. The Lincoln Prevention Coalition teaches parents ways that teens can manipulate common household items to conceal contraband. For example, lip balm can be replaced with marijuana concentrate oil. A deodorant cylinder can be used as a hiding spot. And you can buy a Red Bull container with a lid that twists off, providing plenty of room inside for drugs, pills, or money. So for more resources on drug prevention, you can go to our website right now, WPRI.com. I'm Danielle North, Eyewitness News.